the mentality of my students allow me to feel that China does have a hope when it comes to foreigners, or how it is that you're supposed to treat foreigners. Hi, my name is Sasha Bennett. I'm from Kingston, Jamaica, currently living in Shenzhen, China as an oral English teacher, and you're watching the Blackpats. Okay, what inspired me to come to China was basically back home. I was an intern at the Office of the Children's Registry, which basically is like a social service agency. So they deal with children who are being neglected, abused, etc. They were being joined with another company that does the same thing, and as an intern, I had no job. So I had to think fast of what job I'm about to do now, because jobs in Jamaica are actually very hard to get. Luckily I got an email from my university saying, hey, do you want to live and work in China for a year? Email us back and let us know. I did just that, got through to a recruiter through the university, who then got me connected with a representative from the company I'm working with now. I did an interview, was successful, and I packed my bags and came to China. Originally, I actually liked, or loved, I should say, the Chinese culture. I used to think that I was half Chinese because, the eyes. They used to tell me that my eyes are always looking like Chinese, especially when I smile really hard. So it was that preconception that I thought like Chinese people were so amazing. I want to actually have a real life experience of what it is like to actually live here and interact with Chinese. So that's what I did. Originally, coming to China, I expected a lot of bizarre things. So firstly, I expected everyone to be wearing straw hats. The men would be hard workers carrying the wheelbarrows with foods and stocks in there. I expected the women to have their hair nicely kept with the chopsticks in a cross in the middle of their hair. And also I expected the food to taste a lot better than what I'm eating right now. Originally in Jamaica, we have Chinese food. I found out that the Chinese food that we had in Jamaica is actually not authentic Chinese food. So I expected every country to have similar taste in terms of Chinese food, even China, because that's where it came from. Apparently, authentic Chinese food is actually very disgusting. It's oily, it's slimy, it has an awkward taste, and they feel the need to mix things in there that shouldn't be mixed. So it's a no for me. It's a big no for me. I found a few Chinese restaurants, however, that I actually like that taste similar to what I'm used to, but that's a very few. I'm more likely to be eating at a Western restaurant than a Chinese restaurant, which kind of defeats the purpose of living in China and having the Chinese experience. The KFC and the McDonald's here, don't let me get started on how disgusting that tastes. Like, it is the worst I've tasted in all the KFCs and McDonald's I've had in my life, and I've had a lot. The food is soggy, it tastes like plastic or metal. It's just not done right, and I don't even know how to explain it more than it's just disgusting. Honestly, my biggest shock since being in China is I got the shock so early, I didn't even get a chance to settle down. Upon my first week arriving in China, we went to a little outing. The company decided to treat us to one of those company trips, and while there we were standing in line, and I just saw this parent pulled their child out of the line, and then the most shocking thing happened. She pulled the child's clothes down in front of everybody. Man, woman, dog, bird, God himself, everyone. Naked, fully naked, and allowed the child to take a dump there. I was disgusted and shocked at the same time. And that wasn't my first scenario. It kept happening over and over. I saw one that was close to my apartment. I saw a boy this time doing it. Then another shocking one was, this was actually a public supermarket, We were there, getting groceries at Walmart, and then we just saw this father this time. His child might have wanted to pee, and I guess they couldn't find the bathroom fast enough, so they found the nearest garbage bin. He pulled the child's clothes down again in front of everyone and allowed the child to pee there. And I was just like, what is wrong with you? That's not okay. Another shock that I received was that during one of my actual classes, we were talking about culture. I asked them basically about culture shock. What is the most shocking thing that they've ever seen being in another culture or seeing foreigners do in their culture? A student surprisingly told me that one of the shocking things that they've seen is that we eat salads or vegetables without cooking them. I found it a bit strange because when you cook them, you kind of actually take out the minerals and vitamins from it by putting heat on it. You're not getting the rich sources of things that actually help build your bones and etc. So I don't think that they understood or knew that, but I didn't say anything. What I mostly like about China is the fact that it is way cheaper to live here than it would be when I'm back home. For example, I can live off probably 300 US for the month and be comfortable. I couldn't do that in Jamaica. I would probably die. Also, I like the fact that it's also very convenient. For example, if I want to order food and I'm too lazy to go and get it myself, I can just use an app and someone comes and deliver it to me. And I just sit in bed, eat, and just be fat and be merry. I also like the fact that popular tourist destinations in Asia, it's cheaper to leave from China than it would be if I was leaving directly from Jamaica. Half of these places that I've been to, they were like dreams, places that you just want to go, but it was just way too expensive to visit, and the flight was incredibly long. No one wants to bear that. So apart from living here, I get to actually experience other Asian countries. And I also realized that even though they might look the same, they actually behave and think differently. So that's a very good experience. Alright, so things that I dislike about China. There are a lot of things that I actually dislike about China, but I'm just going to narrow it down to a few. So the first thing is personal hygiene. Like, I don't know if there are dentists here in China because the personal hygiene here is so bad. And not even with the teeth, their scent itself, the beds. Chinese people believe that the harder the bed is, the better posture you will get. That's not the same for us, because in Jamaica we don't sleep on hard beds. Our beds are actually pretty soft. So imagine moving from that type of bed to a bed where it literally feels like it's the floor. My sofa actually feels better than sleeping in my own bed. That's how bad it is. Right now I actually have a neck pain from sleeping from my own bed. The next is sometimes Chinese people can be very deceptive. Since being here a year and 2 months, I've been scammed 2 times. The first time I was scammed was the first day I landed in China. It was that bad. I was scammed at the airport in Beijing. This person saw me as a dumb foreigner and decided that he wanted to help me with my bags. So, I said, okay, no problem. He put me to a little place where I could just sit down and wait for my next flight. He even studied my flight information because, ironically, when it was time for my flight, 4 a.m. in the morning, he actually came back to inform me that it's time for me to go and check in to board the plane. I did appreciate that. However, where he scammed me was after allowing me to sit down, he told me that the fee that he charges for helping persons is $15 US. I didn't have any US dollars on me at the time because I literally just changed my US to RMB. So I explained that to him and he was like, okay, no problem. Give me 200 RMB instead, sorry. Me not knowing the conversion, I was like, 200, not bad. Okay, no problem. I gave it to him. He knew he was scamming me, so the best thing he could do was literally go and buy me a coffee. his treat. Buy me a coffee and told me to sit here. He will come back the next time for my flight. Couple months living in China, learning the conversion rate, I just realized that I gave that man literally double the amount that he asked for. 200 RMB is about $30 US. I literally gave away $30 US for him helping me find a spot in the airport that I could do on my own. The second time was the worst. You know, China is the place for electronics. It was time for me to go home for the winter break. I wanted a new phone, so I decided I was gonna buy an iPhone 8, you know? So I was busy at the time, so I told my friend, she found a seller, I told my friend to do the transaction for me. I sent her the money, and the seller told her, after I sent her the money and she paid the seller pulled a trick. She told us that the shipping for the phone is gonna cost 300 RMB. Now that I know the conversion rate, I told her, hell no. And I order a lot of things here, so I know what shipping prices are going to look like. I told her, no, that's a scam. I told her to get back my money. The seller told her that, okay, we don't have to pay for the shipping. She'll pay for it out of her pocket because we started to demand our money back. A day passed, nothing. 2 days passed, nothing. A week passed, and I still received no phone and no money. So I told her to contact the seller. The seller told her that the shipping had a problem. The shipping went to Bangladesh instead of Shenzhen. Imagine, she said she was shipping the thing from Shanghai. How did it end up in a different country? I then came to the realization that I was scammed, there was no phone, and there's no way I'm gonna get back my money. Another thing that I don't like about China is the fact that they don't know what personal space is. Literally 30 minutes on me doing this video, I was walking home from the supermarket and this man was staring at me to the point that he started to stare inside of my grocery bag to look what I bought. To me, that's not okay. That's not your business. We didn't go to the grocery together, and first of all, I don't even know you for you to be doing that. I've also had persons, because, you know, being black, we have different hairstyles. Persons come in to touch your hair like this and pulling it to see if it's real. This is not okay. I tried to do it back, actually, to see if they like if someone touches their hair. Apparently they do not, so I don't know why they think we like it. Also, another thing I don't like is the fact that they're so ignorant and so strong in their beliefs. So the things that they see online, on the internet, about what Westerners are supposed to look like or behave like, if you try to tell them something different, they just won't believe. Being a Jamaican, and because I'm black, automatically I'm from Africa. No matter how much I try to teach them a little bit about geography, that Jamaica and Africa, it's two different countries, we're not even close. They still won't believe. They constantly think that Jamaica is just a country in Africa. Okay, so is there racism in China? Yes, actually. But the thing is, it's not everyone. With the racism, you can actually have a lot of crazy experiences also. So I've had cases where going on the metro, minding my own business, I sat down and because I'm black, a person didn't want to sit beside me, so they prefer to give up their seat and stand the entire ride themselves. Which is, if you live in China, you know how serious it is for Chinese to get a seat on a metro. They will literally push you down just to get a seat. I've also had an encounter with this man who wanted to have a conversation with me. I couldn't understand him, so I'm letting him know that I can't understand. But instead of saying like, okay, he decided to grab me instead, which I don't know if in his mind that would include understanding, but that was his way of trying to get me to understand. I've also had different experiences where, for example, my school, I've never faced racism as a part or indifference than I would if I were to leave the school. That is why most of the time I prefer not to have a social life, just to avoid racism, crazy experiences, and just not feeling unwelcome. The mentality of my students allow me to feel that China does have a hope when it comes to foreigners, or how it is that you're supposed to treat foreigners. For example, my contact teacher, best person in the world, like, will literally take her own time and money to treat us, just to let us feel welcome, to dinner or take us out to an event, just for us to mix and to see that Chinese people can actually be really nice. My students, on the other hand, they're literally just so smart and well developed. Like, it's crazy, because my experiences with older Chinese, I thought that the ignorance is going to kill them. Then I came to realize that my students don't have the same mentality as their forefathers, the older generation, etc. They actually think the opposite, or think that the way that their grandparents or parents treated foreigners or treated persons who were actually just different are actually wrong. That's the wrong way, or that's the wrong treatment. So even though there is racism in China, to be honest, there's racism everywhere that you go. You can't escape it. But it's not everyone that you encounter in China is going to be racist towards you. Some persons are just truly interested to learn about you, to learn where you're from, and to learn how come you're so different. The biggest lesson I've learned since being in China is actually, it has to be patience. Before, I was a very easily angered person, but having to deal with persons who don't have the same understanding as you, and especially with the language barrier, you have to really control that. So I've learned to be more patient, I've learned to be more understanding, I've learned to be more accommodating. I've just gained a lot of good qualities, which is why I can't say that it was actually a mistake coming to China, because to me, I've actually become a better person than where I was before. Alright, words of advice I can give to persons who are interested in coming, working, living in China is do your research. Like, I know sometimes the situation in your own country is bad, but China is really not a better place if it's a case that you're coming here to work for a company that is overworking you and you're getting little pay. So my second advice would be to be open to cultural differences. Things that might be okay to you aren't okay to Chinese persons, and things that might be okay to Chinese people aren't necessarily going to be okay for you. So being in their country and learning their culture, sometimes it's best if you just follow suit. Whatever they say is right, don't complain about it. Sometimes you do complain, but complain to yourself, but follow suit. In China, especially as a black person, you don't really have rights here. So if you do complain, nothing is going to be changed. If you do have a problem about it, they might listen, but they really don't care. If it's a case that you start to react a negative way towards what they say or tell you to do, they're just gonna tell you, why not just go home? So the best advice is to just follow suit. My third thing is that sometimes Chinese people can be very rude, especially towards black people. Don't take it serious. Sometimes you just have to hear what they say and just brush it off and move on with your life. If you do take it serious, it might cause altercations, and more than likely you're going to be in wrong and you're going to be deported and sent home, and we don't really want that. My fourth advice is, especially if you're black or Jamaican, or you know things that need seasoning, bring your own seasoning. Seasoning is very important living in China, because I can tell you half of the things that we use in our food, you will not find it here, and if you do find it, it's going to be extremely expensive. If you decide to actually live here, instead of complaining about not being able to find proper food, like what I did for a couple of months, cook your own meals, create your own dishes that you prefer and you like, and just live your life as comfortable as you can be while you're here. So if it's a case that you want to have real life experience of how my life in China is, or what do I do, or what I eat, just to have, a first-hand experience before actually coming here, you can actually follow my Instagram. It's at Sasha Nelson. Or I do have a clothing store. That is one benefit I gained from China. It is at Avant Garde Jamaica 1 on Instagram.